At the time of making this video that you're watching right now, I had just posted a short on YouTube, and I posted the same video across my social media of me playing a fiddle tune from one of my absolute all-time favorite fiddlers, John Morgan Salyer from Kentucky, and it's him playing his take on Speed of the Plow. I've never actually heard anybody play it like that, like he does. It's the melody feels unique to him, and there's another tune called Speed the Plow, but his is called Speed of the Plow. At least on the recording that I have, it's labeled that. So, anyways, I had posted that, and I had told a few people on social media who had said some really nice things in the comments, and even on the YouTube short, that I was not necessarily happy with the bowing, but I wanted to post it anyways because I think it's such a pretty tune. I thought it'd be fun to share it. And so I'm coming on the video today to talk about some of the things I'm changing in the bowing and just kind of what I've been working on, and I wanted to share that process, and I think it's great to share things and show the process as they're moving and changing. Forgive me if my voice is a little tired sounding, it just is. So anyways, I'll do the best I can to talk and share. So just to do a demonstration, I had played John's A part where I was doing more of this kind of quarter note thing. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but it did feel, I guess, a little, I don't know, lazy for lack of better words. It wasn't trying to be lazy. That's kind of how I heard it when I first learned it. But about a year or more ago, at least at the time of making this video, I had taken a lesson with Rayna Gellert, of course, if you know who she is and you're an old-time fiddler, she's just one of the best. And she said something really cool. She told me, you know, you really don't need to be studying with anybody if you don't want to. She's like, what you need to do, though, is go really listen deeply to the recordings and see what you can parse from those recordings. And it's been a really fun thing to do, to take these recordings to a super slow speed and just try to get the bowing as accurately as I can. I'm not saying I'm going to perfect it or get it 100%. And so that's what I did with John's Speed of the Plow. Like I said, the quarter note thing just didn't feel very dynamic, and I was like, it's probably not what's actually happening. It's just kind of what I grabbed in a moment. And it revealed a lot of information, at least as far as I could hear. Now, I've been playing the violin/fiddle for 30 years. I think I have got a pretty good ear to this kind of stuff, but again, I want to be clear that it may not be dead on the money, and you don't always have to do every single thing that fiddler is doing. It's just a way to kind of touch base with what they're doing, and then you can make some informed decisions from there. But instead of doing this whole I'm like bow just going 1, 2, 3, 4, very quarter note driven, I wanted to see kind of what he was up to. So the first thing I deduced was that he starts with just a 2-note slur and then a separate bow onto that E. And he actually does a really beautiful, I was droning the high E string or just the open A the whole time, but from what I can tell, at least in the A part that I zoomed in on, he's going, using that, because I'm cross-tuned A, E, A, E, he's using that, what once was a D string is now an E string. It's really pretty how both those ring out. And then here, so there's just a couple of those 2-note slur strokes in there that I was talking about. So that's all still 2-note strokes, but we have this little difference here. And then here it sounded to me like a separate bow. And again, those all feel like quarter notes and 2-note slurs. So I have, forgive me, I'm just tuned up really quick. I'm in between lessons when I'm filming this. So let's try that again. Isn't that cool? I just think it's so pretty. And then here I thought I was just about as sure as I can be that he's doing a 3-note slur. And it would make sense, at least in my mind, and maybe I'm just making it up at this point, and I like it either way, so this is one of the moments where I'm just going to keep it like this. Doing a 3-note slur. And one thing that I caught, again, that I wasn't doing, is that he rings out the low A right there, which I just think is so much cooler in that moment than... There's nothing wrong with that, but... So in that A part, he just grabs that really quick. I just love that. So I've got this 2-note to a single. Separate. Three, 2. And then back to our beginning. And then here. Now that, I hear that, buddy, yeah, but instead of going, I hear, because he's, at least in my mind, he's setting up for this. And I personally want to start that with a down bow. It just feels stronger and more organic to do that. So that last phrase leading into the B part. And there, I'm playing this low A, but I believe, again, at least in the part that I zoomed in on. Oh, sorry. He's using this A. So now he may have played this a little differently in different A parts throughout the recording. Some of this may, not always been consistent. I'm just zooming in on one zone, but that's enough to digest and enough to chew on. And now I feel like I really have just a really cool relationship to this tune. I'm going to work this up to speed, and at least I feel like I've got a little more dynamic bowing in there, and I've learned something about John Salyer, at least the way I hear it, and the way he, hopefully, I think he played quite a bit of what I just described and discussed and displayed. I'm pretty sure he played quite a bit of it like that. Again, I'm not saying perfection or I'm hyper accurate, but I bet a large chunk of it is that. And it's just been really fun. And so don't be afraid to slow down the recording and just really see what's going on. I think I have the amazing slowdowner, and I think I went to 29% of the speed. And I know it's not for everybody, but I had a blast doing it. And of course I love John, and I love his playing, and I love his repertoire, so it was easy to do. So I hope if there's anything like that going on in your own musical world, in your old-time world, or anything that you're doing musically, that you're willing and able to take the time to really catch those little articulations. Something when I used to play more Western swing and jazz that my teachers would tell me and talk about, and I'd hear really great musicians talk about, is that transcribing a solo isn't about just the notes. A lot of people think it's like, oh, they're playing this phrase over this chord, and I need to learn how to do that. It's also about getting the feel of that player into your hands, right? Like, as a fiddle player, a violinist, Stefan Grappelli, one of the best improvisers and just musicians like probably ever. He was so good, and his playing still makes me smile so much. And so thinking about Stefan and his playing, and you learn something from him, it wasn't just, it's like the way that he says it is almost more important than what he played, because it was such a sweet thing to listen to. Is still a sweet thing to listen to. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching if you stuck around with me this long into my fiddle nerdery. All right, thank you.